Career fair for Chinese university students has dishwasher positions, public opinion explodes. China overtakes Russia to become the #1 enemy in the eyes of Americans. It's gambling, Chinese tech startups on doing business in the country. Chinese expert makes a naive proposal, gets fiercely criticized by netizens. U.S Taiwan Business Council needs to do more to support Taiwan deal with China.
As reported by Vision Times recently, the topic dishwasher positions are offered to university students on career fair has become a Weibo hot search. According to NetEase, on March 4th, at the career fair of Henan Economics and Law University, many food service companies and hotels opened booths. On some hotels' recruitment boards, there were positions of receptionist, hotline operator, cashier, waiter, bellman, and even a dishwasher with a minimum salary of 2,000 to 2,999 yuan, about $288 to $431. After it was reported that the salary for the Henan University of Economics and Law graduates was only 2,000 yuan, $288, it sparked heated discussions. Some netizens said, the local minimum salary is 2,000 and university graduates are also paid 2,000. Another said, I laughed a lot having a master's degree. Salary is still 2,999. My old school, how could it be famous like this? Some netizens thought this incident was not very hurtful, but extremely insulting, assuming that education is now depreciated. Someone commented, studying hard for over 10 years, now washing dishes in a hotel. Students studied hard for nothing, parents spent money for nothing, and this is a big waste. Another concluded, in the two sessions proposals, there are extremely few proposals about improving the employment quality and university graduates' income, as well as no proposal for the elderly to fully enjoy their retirement and their old age. As related news emerged, Henan Economics and Law University responded on its official Weibo account, saying the career fair was not exclusive to its students. More than 10,000 graduates from over 20 colleges, universities, inside and outside the province attended, and social workers also participated in recruitment activities. In 2023, university graduates will reach 11.53 million, and employment will become a big deal. According to Sohu, the number of university graduates across China in 2023 is expected to reach 11.58 million, an increase of 820,000 year-on-year. Feng Xiliang, Capital University of Economics and Business, also said, if total new jobs reach 12 million, then these new university graduates account for over 90%. Li Chunlin, Deputy Director of China's National Development and Reform Commission, said, given this year's situation, the external environment has become more complex and harsh. The number of domestic university graduates and urban job demand has reached a new high, and employment expansion and quality improvement still face pressures and challenges.
Gallup poll on March 7th released a poll result showing American sympathy for China has plummeted. Meanwhile, the number of Americans considering China an enemy, even the #1 enemy, has increased sharply. Specifically, the poll conducted from February 1st to 23rd pointed out that only 15% of American respondents have a favorable view of China, down 5 percentage points after a year. Gallup research advisor Megan Brennan showed in a study that Americans' positive attitudes toward China have plummeted in recent years, with a total decline of 38 percentage points since 2018. The percentage of Americans considering China as America's worst enemy has also increased rapidly in recent years. For example, the 2020 survey found that 22% of Americans believe China is the worst enemy. The percentage was 45% in 2021 and 50% this year. According to VOA, the Gallup survey also shows that although Russia is waging a war of aggression against Ukraine and the United States and its allies are trying to support Ukraine, up to 50% of Americans polled considered China as enemy #1. Conversely, only 32% of Americans think Russia is enemy #1. The Gallup poll also shows that while American support for China has plummeted, their support for Taiwan has skyrocketed, with 77% of respondents favoring Taiwan, 5 percentage points higher than the 2021 survey. The Gallup poll comes as U.S.-China relations worsened after Washington shot down a Chinese surveillance balloon that entered U.S. airspace. In addition, U.S. administration officials repeatedly warned that the Chinese Communist regime might consider military aid to Russia. This further strains relations between the two countries. For the private sector in China, doing business is a nerve-wracking affair, even as communist officials are chanting positive promises. Sherry, a pseudonym, co-founded a Hong Kong-based gaming studio whose business still struggles with regulatory demands. She told Bloomberg that two of the company's games have been ejected from mainland app stores because of approval limbo, which persisted even as Beijing started granting licenses last year. She said, doing business in China means you are going into an information black box. It's gambling. Shenzhen-based e-cigarette startup Snow Plus Tech has been switching to Southeast Asia and Russia after being battled by regulation in its birthland. CEO Ray Xiao said his company has shut down all 400 direct sales stores in the country and reduced its workforce by 60%. He said, "For China, we just have to wait for the government to punish whoever it thinks is doing the wrong thing and accept that there isn't anything you can do." According to Bloomberg, an unnamed venture capitalist who used to be highly active in China did not engage in a single deal in 2022. While having more than $200 million in hands, the person has no intention to back any startup this year either. One Shenzhen investor made only 2 investments in 2022, one-tenth the amount when times were easy. Citing data firm Prekin, the publication reported that venture deals fell 45% to $82 billion in 2022. While Beijing declared earlier this year that its clampdown on the tech sector was over, there are signs the opposite might be in store. On February 27th, regulators released a short statement that they wanted to harness excessive video use in youngsters. Then, at China's annual parliamentary meeting starting March 5th, tech moguls disappeared from the rows of delegates. Managing Director of Kai Yuan Capital, Brock Silvers, said markets have no reason to think that Beijing has permanently retreated from its tech crackdown. He added, there is also no reason to think that once immediate concerns have been ameliorated, Beijing won't return its attention to corporate titans. To Chinese scientists and academics, studying abroad might be the opposite of breaking free from government surveillance. According to a joint investigation between German media DW and platform CorrectIV, Chinese scholars studying internationally through scholarships from the China Scholarship Council must sign a contract with the council. The probe looked into multiple contracts of this kind in many countries. While there might be some nuances, the overall messages are the same: absolute allegiance to the Chinese state. Scholars must promise to not commit to activities that harm China's security and interests. Note that interest is an ambiguous clause with ample room for missteps. They are also required to consciously safeguard the honor of the motherland and obey the guidance and management of embassies, consulates abroad. According to DW, they must keep regular contact with the embassy or the nearest Chinese consulate. The scholars are expected to promptly update information about themselves, their academic progress, and their mentor, which is another word for professors and other academic staff. DW added that such reports might also contain information on third parties. After CSC scholars finish their education, the contract binds them to serve China for 2 years after their return. In addition, the agreement includes a guarantee clause that extends to relatives and friends. However, it expires once this commitment is fulfilled. There are also straightforward tactics to ensure compliance. For example, applicants to CSC programs must name 2 personal guarantors who are forbidden to leave China for 3 months at a time throughout the scholarship term. Should they violate the contract, signers are warned of disciplinary action against themselves and their guarantors. In addition, CSC seeks to penalize violators by imposing a fine and billing them the scholarship grant, which could be as high as $80,000 for 4 years of funded education. Germany has at least 30 universities that have accepted Chinese CSC scholars. Some partner with the council, which means they report directly to China's Ministry of Education. Speaking with DW, some have denied the existence of threats among CSC students or said they were unaware of the contracts. The publication, however, added security sources told DW that they have also observed a forced connection of Chinese students to the Chinese state, particularly through CSC scholarship holders. Sweden, Denmark, and Norway have begun to sound alarmed about the CSC program this year.
U.S Taiwan Business Council, USTBC President Rupert J. Hammond Chambers said in a press release on March 7th that the U.S. needs to do more to support Taiwan's defense against the Chinese Communist regime threats. Hammond Chambers said, "General rhetorical support for Taiwan is not enough, nor is the narrowness of security assistance focused solely on a so-called asymmetric approach." Hammond Chambers commented that the proposed Taiwan Policy Act would set a standard for U.S. interests in Taiwan while also being good for U.S. security. However, the bill ultimately did not receive enough support due to concerns that it would anger China's regime. Hammond Chambers also noted that some of the bill's security provisions were included in the National Defense Authorization Act of 2023, but important Taiwan-related provisions were dropped. The USTBC's president believes the Taiwanese government is in a quandary, so it needs to maintain close relations with the U.S. Hammond Chambers said, "The threat that China poses to Taiwan extends beyond a D-Day-style attack, but American support for the island apparently does not." He also added that if the White House does not help strengthen Taiwan's defense capabilities, it will make China's regime the winner. Hammond Chambers said, "Their silence on this matter to date is deafening, and it is a good indication that they're staying out of the way lest any comments end up rallying support for future grants to Taiwan."